everyone. Thank you for joining me in another episode of Reality Court. As you can see, Ace has gotten much more handsome, much more tall, much more fashionable, and much manlier. Considering that my co-host today is gay and Ace isn't, there's a lot more male energy coming from this one. I'm just messing with you. Obviously, no, that is actually true. But first, let me welcome my guest co-host, Richie Skye. As you know, Richie and I have known each other for a long time. Thank you so much for doing this, Richie. Ace abandoned me to
anytime.
Ace abandoned me for 2 weeks to go to Hawaii. You know, a well-deserved vacation. Must be nice.
Yes.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
So, yeah. And so I know that our listeners want to hear about my first in-person meeting with Ace. You know, Ace and I have been doing this podcast for a year, and we had never met in person.
Are you serious?
And everybody thought that was so crazy because we do have such really great chemistry, and
You do.
like we've known each other forever. And so he met me in LA, and I am going to wait to tell that story when he comes back because I think that he wants to participate in it. But yes, we did finally meet, and we will follow up with that when he comes back.
Uh-oh.
So I wanted to talk about something first. Ace was so mad about. Last week, was it last week or the week before? We had Britney Baitman on from Salt Lake City. Okay. And she came on the show, and she was a great guest. We had a lot of fun with her. A lot of people's reaction was, God, you guys make me like people that I used to hate, you know, because she was very nice. She revealed on our show, we didn't ask her. She said, I'm going to give you something that, you know, as you'll see in the video, that nobody knows. And it's that for the first time ever, Jared Osman broke up with me. They've broken up 42 times. 41 times has been her. You know, we take this relationship very seriously. So she shared this on our podcast. We recorded it on the 16th. It aired on the 17th. On the 25th, I see Us Weekly reporting Britney Baitman exclusively tells that Jared Osman broke up with her for the first time. And it's like, look, I like Us Weekly, but, you know, check your sources. Look, Reality Blurb, you know, reports things and gives us credit for it and had already shared that too.
Funny that you're asking me this today.
Or I can't tell you. Can't tell me it's okay.
No, I can't. I don't think anyone's keeping me from talking about my relationship. Okay. But you guys are about to get some really dicey tea. Are you ready?
Oh, yes, that's my favorite thing in the world.
Like brace yourselves. Take a deep breath. Take a sip. But for the very first time in 2 whole years that we've been together, he broke up with me yesterday.
And then everybody picked it up, and it's like, oh, you know, what a revelation at Heather McDonald's 10-year anniversary party. You know, we didn't ask to exclusively say anything, but we aired it. We did a post about it, and bloggers picked it up. And then 9 days later, breaking news. It's like, no. So just wanted to say that. Look, I don't mind when somebody just says, I heard it from this. I love Reality Blurb. It's one of my they're so consistent with their stuff, but they always say where they got it because that is responsible journalism.
Yeah,
you know?
I've in doing what I've been doing for like as long as I have been. That's one of the major things. That
I know. That's
just because
important.
I know how people feel about it. You know what I'm saying? Like I like giving. It's kind of like giving like respect to
credit where credit is due.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like a friendly thing you do.
Yeah, and here is how podcasts work, people, in case you don't understand. The information belongs to everybody. We all have certain access to the information through watching the show, through reading about the show, through personal knowledge, through reading bloggers, to watching other podcasts. And that's okay. People are watching you because they like the way you deliver. It's not new information. It's the way you deliver it personally. And so you don't have to steal it. You can just say, I heard on this podcast this and this. Tell me more about that, and maybe get a little more information from her. I wanted to jump into a little pop culture What did you think about the Bezos wedding?
Okay, so I'll be for real. Like, as it was happening, I'm seeing bits and pieces. I'm seeing like Orlando Bloom, Oprah. Like, so I'm seeing like all of these photos and I'm like, what's happening? What is going on with this wedding? And so, you know, when I knew I was going to talk to you about it, I went down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
The
Oh, no, it's easy to go into rabbit holes.
The Bethenny of it all. I mean, I'm the type of person, I grew up reading In Touch, Us Weekly, People, Star, all of those things. All of the things. Like, I used to collect them. Okay. So I always think these things are exciting to me. Like, I want to know who's there. That's why I got into this space in the beginning.
Right.
And even when we were working together, that's what I loved, the entertainment
stuff. Of course, that was the most fun. That was
me. Yeah, it was the most fun. So I always get excited about these things. But I guess what I am curious about is, why are people so up in arms about this invitation?
I think that it's because it was a small wedding. Mm-hmm. When you think about it, considering he's Jeff Bezos and there were only 200 people, but the people were hand selected. The people who were selected were the entire Kardashian family, Oprah. You know what I mean? Like the who's who. I think
the who's who.
Yeah, I think Bezos started out as a real dorky guy, right? And who worked in his garage. I don't know if you remember his pictures when he was starting Amazon, which was just about selling books online.
I do.
He looked older than he looks now. He was frumpy. All he ate was McDonald's, and now he looks like a little G.I. Joe. You know, he works out all the time. Like, he looks pretty good.
Let this be a listen to listeners, that if you feel like you don't look the best, if you feel like you are less than attractive, all you are really missing is some money.
The money. Oh, for sure. For sure. Nobody's ugly. They're just poor.
Exactly.
There's a saying in Spanish like that. And yes, absolutely. And he has the trainers that trained, you know, Olympic athletes, and he really fell for this girl. You know, this was an extramarital affair. They didn't deny that. Her brother was the one who shared that with the media, and he went crazy for her. And, you know, those Latinas, they can make you crazy. So a lot of people are saying, you know, she made the cover of Vogue, and then coincidentally, Anna Wintour stepped down after 37 years as creative director of Vogue. Coincidence? I think a lot of people are saying that for years, Lauren, because this is not a new relationship, they've been together for 7 years. Mm-hmm. Bezos has wanted Lauren Sánchez on the cover of Vogue. And she has said no and no and no and no and no. And the guy was like, I have $300 billion. This is my soon-to-be wife, and I want her on the fucking cover of Vogue. And Anna Wintour said, okay, but not while I'm creative director. And I think she stepped down. And a lot of people think that, and I kind of did like a little poll on my Instagram, and almost everybody, 90-something%, agreed that could have had something to do with it.
I think for a long time, I feel like Anna has had a way of making people earn their spot in that world. And she's kind of become the gatekeeper, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it became a situation where, in my opinion, she worked very hard to make it so that just because you have a lot of money and a lot of influence, that does not mean that you gain entry into this world.
Right. I agree. I agree with what you're saying. And I think that she's right. I think that she's right.
Just because you have a lot of money and a lot of access, that doesn't mean that you have a lot of style.
Right. Right. And we have seen her snub Kim Kardashian and other people.
She made them work for it.
Yeah. During like fashion shows, they may be sitting in the first row, but she's not even going to say hello to you because she knows that that's politics that she doesn't agree with.
I love that about her.
I do too. I love people who still have standards, because in this world of, you know, we don't even know what talent is anymore. You know?
No, I mean, you know, and the thing about it is, I get it to a certain degree, right? I mean, it creates an open forum for people now to gain notoriety for any number of reasons. But I think that works for the little people, right? The people who are where we are, right? The people who want to rise to the top and who have the talent and who just who are undiscovered. But I think that there's a situation that we're also seeing where money and power are getting people access to things just because they have money and power. And it's like, no, you don't
Right.
you can't just buy your way into this.
Right. I remember that with the school my daughters went to. In Miami, it was one of these schools that was very hard to get into, like a very exclusive all-girls school. It was really hard for us to get into because you had to get in, it was very little who you knew. It was very little how much money you had. It had to do with how well-rounded the girls were and how, whatever. Before I even applied to that school, my girls went to Miss Porter's, where Hillary Clinton and Sandra Day O'Connor went to school to do a leadership conference. They did so many things that made them look really good on paper. And I remember this old Miami drug dealer who lived right next door to the school and went to see the head mistress. And she says, look, I'm sorry, your daughters aren't right for this institution. He goes, I can buy you and this whole school. That's very nice, but they're not coming here. And so on a much smaller scale, I think we've lost some of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, earn it. Earn it in the right way. And I don't believe that she's earned it. And I think we saw that in the wedding. We see that in her face. What's happening? Was it she spent a lot of time in Miami or something? She's spending too much time in Miami. Like, what is happening to her? Really, like she needs to walk around with, I just did a podcast with my doctor, and he says, these women, if they want to look like how they look in pictures, they're going to have to walk around with a ring light in front of them everywhere they go.
It's impossible to keep up that glossy look that you can upstage. Right. You can upsell yourself in a photo, right?
Yes. And the problem with that is that you don't want people to be so disappointed when they see you in person.
Exactly. You really want them to be like, oh my God, you look better in person.
You're better in person. Right. I agree. So you said you went down a rabbit hole. Tell me about the Bethenny of it all.
Oh God, Bethenny.
Honestly, I read that she had commented, but I haven't heard it.
Bethenny has an interesting way of like going into deep dive rants, and sometimes it's quasi philosophical and quasi from the perspective of the $1 million to $1 billion, CEO or whatever. And I just kind of I really do understand why people have a hard time digesting her. I don't mind her, actually. I had to really think about it, and I had to pull out this book. And it is by Gary Vee, and this is not not sponsored or anything like that. But
no, I've read all of the other two books of Gary Vee.
Good. He speaks like, the stuff that he's teaching is so great. Yeah. But it's called day trading attention for people that, may be listening to this. And I'm like, that's all that Bethenny is doing. Bethenny is literally hopping on any trending topic that she possibly can, because it is getting attention to her. She's drawing eyes onto her as a personal brand, and then she's filtering those views into the things that she loves, that she gets paid from. Period. That's it. So once I started going down that rabbit hole, I was like, do you really care about any of this, or do you care more about where you are directing their attention to? Yeah.
I used to love Bethenny. You know that, like, to me, Bethenny was everything. She got a little bit hard to stomach for me, but the point that you're making is very true. She is friendly with Gary Vee, and Gary Vee, from his first book, says that if you want to become successful on this free platform that we all have access to, if you want to become famous, you need to be posting over 100 times a day across all platforms. So we're talking maybe 40 stories, 3 posts, TikTok, LinkedIn, Snapchat, whatever they have, over 100 times a day. And I'm like, is this guy fucking crazy? she's doing that. She is doing that. And it's working for her because she's polarizing. But as many people that love her adore her. And the many people that hate her, they listen to her. Because they want to be shocked by the things she says. So she's still entertaining. I do feel like some of the things she says come from a place of like a little bit of envy. And I hate that. You know what I mean? Like I think she wishes that Bezos would have paid attention to her. She doesn't understand, you know, maybe why this woman. But at first, when they got engaged, I remember her saying, you know, good for you, Lauren Sánchez, like, you know, whatever. And then maybe she's just pissed off that they didn't invite her to the wedding. But did she put the wedding down?
I wondered that as well. I don't know. I couldn't really get a read on her, whether or not she had been invited or not. But I had to wonder when I first heard her go on and on about it, because there are several posts. And they're not just like short, like hot takes. These are like deep dives into the wedding, the invitation, part 2, part 3. You know, it's like
she was not. Listen, Richie, if she had been invited to that wedding, you would have seen her everything, every minute of her flight there, every minute on whatever. She was not invited, and she has, you know, she does feel that she should be invited, that she should have been invited. Like she feels that she should be included in the Met Gala. Maybe now that Anna Wintour left, maybe now you have a chance. She says, oh, I think I would kill it.
Yeah,
Bethenny,
maybe you can buy your way in now.
Bethenny she has a lot of business smarts. She is not that great for TV. And the reason that TV has not worked for her is because she is so polarizing, you know, but in her own medium, she has been able to build something. You don't really need a traditional TV show to make that happen. And so she has found a way to make it happen, and kudos to her for that. But she wants access where I don't think she's entitled to access because she thinks she's more than she is. And then I also can't blame her for that. Do you know what I mean? Like if you walk around thinking you're more than you are, it's about like work for the job you want or dress for the job you want, not the job you have. And so maybe she will pound the pavement so much that she'll convince people that she deserves access. I don't know. I will tell you that, yeah. Go ahead. I want to hear your thoughts.
I guess the problem for me is like, you know, when you think about people that are going to the Met Gala at this point, I mean, you almost kind of want to think about the people that are in the fashion industry that have that level of credibility. But we also know that there are celebrities that just get invited, right? Influencers now are getting invited. But I also think that there's a space where, you know, if she were being, I don't know, let's say Bethenny were being styled by some of the best stylists out there right now. She was developing relationships with, you know, these brands, and she was doing that work to be in that space, then I could respect her being there a bit more. But she's not. You know, Bethenny is developing a very DIY sort of brand.
Right.
And so I think that she's kind of building a space where she isolates herself.
She does.
And she comments on things I mean, it's no holds bar. So how are you going to develop these relationships where people would want to invite you to anything?
Agreed. She is, it's a scary thing because you never know what she's going to say.
Exactly.
Let's go back to Harry Hamlin. He graciously sent her his sauce, and she mocked his sauce, which, by the way, I can honestly tell you that I don't have to taste that sauce to know that it isn't good, because he puts rosemary and tarragon in his sauce, and those spices have no business in marinara. So I can tell you that as somebody who really understands food and knows how to cook. But she should have gone to him privately and said, hey, I've been in the food space before. Let me help you take this to retail. Let me help you tweak this recipe. Take a piece of the pie, you know? But to mock him the way she did, so she's like a loose cannon. She's too scary for brands to associate with her, because Bethenny will tell you the truth. But on the other hand, that's what people like about her. The people who like her like that about her.
I mean,
you know, she's going to tell you the truth. She's not going to hold back. And she doesn't care who's paying her, who's whatever. I don't know. So she's too dangerous for brands to associate with.
She's a renegade.
She is.
I mean, point blank. And I agree with your assessment about that. I think that the friendlier thing to do would have been to go to him privately and say that.
Yeah.
But the popular thing to do would have been to drag his sauce
and what
online.
got her more views and more whatever. She did it with Gia also, and talking about Teresa and Louis and all that stuff. It's like, I don't know. I don't know. She just rubbed me the wrong way. I saw something recently, and she's famously dating now. She moved to Miami. Boy, she milked that why I moved to Miami and the real reason I moved to Miami. Like, I still don't know the reason. She's been, like, I no longer care. She took so long to say why that, I think she played that up a little too much. But now she was talking about, and I know about dating in your 50s because, I started dating again when I was like 49, 50, something like that. And she says that men at that age just want a pen pal. They don't want anything serious. And I found that so funny because she doesn't consider for a second is the fact that they just don't want a relationship with you because you're insufferable and emasculate men. They don't want you. You know what I mean? There are plenty of men that you meet in their 50s that find the love of their life and get married and all that. Bethenny's a lot.
She is a lot. And her social life is, her life is very social. Let me say that. What I mean by that is, you've got to be okay with being with someone who their every move, but there's a lot of their moves that are so public, right? Who would want that?
Nobody.
You've got to have some space at home that is like off limits.
I often called Paul the hostage because he looked like a hostage in that relationship, her ex-boyfriend. And I was so happy for him when he moved away from that because it didn't make sense to me that they were together. The thing is, who's going to want to date a woman that from the very first date that you ask her out, she's going to do a get ready with me, and she's going to come back and do post-game highlights about that very, whatever date while eating chicken salad and saying all the things she liked about you, didn't like about you, what she thought, whatever. There is no place for that to go because the person's already offended. So if you're really serious about a relationship, talk less. There's so many topics you can talk about. Talk less.
And that's the other thing, too. There doesn't seem to be, like, any pillar. Like, typically when people, like, want to sort of translate themselves into a brand, I mean, they have content pillars. So, like, the things we know we're going to get from the person, right? So, for you, it could be food. It could be reality TV, family. We obviously know these are the things that, you are an expert in, but these are the things that we know that you're willing to share about.
Right.
But you also have these aspects of your life that you probably won't talk about,
I don't.
Right?
I don't ever really talk about my relationship. Just like every once in a while with Ace, just, Ken did this or Ken did that, but not anything that would be embarrassing to him or, we've been together for 9 years already. Like, he's already used to me. She needs to give the guy a chance to understand what Bethenny is made of, and that's just one of her weird idiosyncrasies, that she needs to be peacocking all the time. That's not for everyone, right? It's not for everyone.
It is not. You got to have an off button.
And poor Peanut. We're going to see Peanut on Dr. Phil soon because poor girl. I mean, she seems really sweet and well-adjusted, and I do think she's a good mom. Listen, as parents, we do what we think is right, and everybody says it doesn't come with a handbook. I think her dad was kind of a prick, and I think she's doing what she thinks is right, and the kid seems pretty well-adjusted, but I don't think that she's just meeting pen pals. I think she's meeting men that are like, fuck no. No fucking way.
I think there's also the part of her that probably feels like this sort of relief with being able to, like, maybe post, her daughter and have that sort of normal relationship that I feel like she probably sees a lot of other, moms and daughters have, to be able to do that type of thing. And so we probably see a lot more of it because maybe there's probably a part of her that felt like for a long time she couldn't do it.
Right.
Remember, like there was like a time period where we didn't know anything about her daughter. There was so much of her life
during
that we didn't know
that
about.
was a tough divorce for her.
That was a tough divorce. So I felt like there's a part of her that's probably like, gosh, I'm free now.
Yeah. And you know, a lot of her posts, like she does a lot of posts like in bathing suits and dancing to hip hop and rap music. Even Kanye, it's like, doesn't she know we don't play Kanye anymore? Like, what, you know?
I'm not even playing Kanye anymore.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying.
I
like,
can't. I just can't do it.
Right. And so she seems a little tone deaf about that. And then, of course, they're thirsty things. She looks great. You know, in that fashion show, we talked about it. She was a little crazy, but man, it was jaw-dropping.
I was like, at first, I was like, is this AI? Like, I was like, I just couldn't believe how, like, I just wasn't expecting it. And I think a little bit of it was the tan.
Her body is something else.
Her body is amazing.
Is amazing. And so, you know, honestly, I'm not going to judge it because I don't know what I would do. I'd probably be walking around, you know.
Same.
Like, you know, with not a lot of clothes on. It rivals the body of a 20-year-old.
It does. But I think, you know, the thing with Bethenny is that at least from what I can remember, I think for the most part, her body's always really kind of looked like that.
Yeah. But she stepped it up. She stepped it up and she said it. She started working with a trainer. I do think she's had a facelift that she hasn't admitted to, and I wish she would because there's nothing wrong with that. They show pictures of her before where she had jowls and stuff, and it's like, we don't want women to think like I woke up like that because we have so many hangups and so many things, and we are judged so harshly as we get older, and we are judged so harshly with our own reflection in the mirror. We are our worst, you know, critics. And so for me, when I did it, I wanted to share that whole process, and I have no platform compared to her. And I think she should have shared it, you know, because her face looks incredible. Her body looks, I think her body has always been like that. I think she is a naturally svelte person that has great muscle tone. She probably has to go to the gym for 15 minutes to look like that. I mean, the confidence in which she strutted down that runway was enviable. It was incredible. I don't like her, but I was applauding her. I was like, wow.
Oddly fascinated by her, so it's very easy for her to keep my attention and go down these rabbit holes with her.
Yeah.
But I also can see an objective space with her. I also think that it would probably be hard for her to ever admit to having anything done because a lot of her posts, as I was going through, they're kind of, it's like a no filter.
Yeah, but that also isn't true.
As she's doing her makeup and trying out all these products that she, you know, it's like, it would be hard for her to now say, oh, guys, look what I did. You know what I mean? Like,
it would be like an Oprah situation where she finally admitted to, like, the jabs, you know, like getting the shots, like the Ozempic. First, it was all like, she did have a fall from grace, but I don't know. She's Oprah, so I love her. Like, don't mess with my Oprah. She's been there for me when I've needed her. Like, no. So, you know, whatever. But I think it would be nice if she said, you know what, I kept this from you and I realized that if I want to support women and I want women to feel good about themselves, that I should tell you, you know?
Yeah,
I mean, she has access and money for the best plastic surgeons in the world.
If that is the case and that is really what she did, I think the key then is you don't have to take this harsh stance about, like, you know, being so real and authentic and no makeup and this, that, and the third. Just be real about it. Like, hey guys, I love this product. This is something that I'm using. I'm trying to do my makeup myself. I'm going through the aging process.
And I'm
this
feeling
is what
bad
I had to
about
do.
this.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, just be real about it.
I think people would appreciate that in her more. I just feel that she thinks like the time has passed where I can say it. And I think it was a bad decision, but to each his own. Look, Kris Jenner immediately divulged
that face.
Yeah. And she immediately said it. And good for her for saying it. She's 67 years old or 68. Like, where do I sign, girl?
I think everybody was asking, who did it?
Yeah. And the thing is, like, why, who would think that a 68-year-old or 67-year-old would look like that naturally? Nobody. You're not fooling anybody. So just be honest. And so I've always loved the momager, but I like her even more now. I like her more now. It's like, cool, you shared that with us. You even told her who the doctor is. You even told us you paid $200,000. So now we know we can't afford him. And but it's
like,
fine.
Good luck.
Yeah, like, we're happy for you. We're happy that you can. She worked for it, you know? So anyway, I love talking to you. I need you to come back on Thursday so you're going to watch Miami and we're going to do a full recap. Absolutely. And I want your take on all of this. And when Ace comes back, we want to have you back to talk a little bit about Atlanta, because I haven't been watching Atlanta. I've been like traveling a lot, but he loves it and he loves your expertise on that. One last thing before we go. How happy are you about Monique coming back to? Is it true?
It is true.
Yeah.
You know what's so funny about that? So just knowing her the way that I do, it was like I hadn't talked to her for a couple of weeks, so I had no clue what was going on, right? So when the news came out, my first thing I'm doing is texting her. I'm like, "Is this real?"
Yeah.
Because I was like, "Girl,
there was
I
an
never
April
thought
Fool's
you would go
joke
back."
about it that she did.
Yeah,
that I did
like,
too.
Yeah, I thought she would never go back to that show. But, you know, and just kind of listening to her explanations, I think that I can understand it a little bit better, because she does have, you know, certain freedoms in the friend role that she can kind of go about her life as she chooses. Great. And she doesn't have to be locked into this show in the way that a full-time person has to be. Right. And I think as long as she feels like she has some level of, I have my life, I'm happy for her, but I just want her to be careful.
Yeah, I think that she has, in stepping away from the show, found a lot of peace. If you follow her, you see that is her absolute priority, that she's quieted her mind, that she has found kind of the joy in the simple things in life and really has become very spiritual. And so I was worried that she'd lose that, but I think she's pretty grounded now. I think we're going to see a very different Monique, and I'm super excited about that, because I love her, and you'd be hard pressed to find a more beautiful housewife, and she's just so cool. I've always loved her.
She is, and I hope that people get to really see that, because I think that they have a perception about her, and I'm just like, there's been a whole like evolution. Yeah. Entire evolution. She's still her at her core, but she's definitely grown and evolved in so many ways.
Yeah, that's awesome. We can't wait for your podcast so we can hear more about these things. So tell us everything you're doing so we can promote you and follow you. And
yeah, so you guys can follow me on Instagram and on YouTube at DJ Richie Skye. I have a book series out called The Wickedest Wives. You can find that on Amazon. Book 2 is out. Book 3 will be out hopefully this fall. Writing a book is a lot of work. And I also host group trips. So we have a trip to Zanzibar coming up in September and a trip to Cape Town coming up in November.
Those
I haven't
like
decided
so much fun,
what
Richie.
They are. They're
So
a lot
much
of
fun.
work, but they're a lot of fun.
Yeah. I think they look amazing. Okay, awesome. So I will see you on Thursday. Thank you guys for listening to me even without Ace. I'm so lucky to have this guest co-host helping me out, and we will see you on Thursday. Thanks Hurrdat. Thanks Pat. Thank you Beyonce. We can't forget her. And thank you, Richie. 5 stars, please. And we will see you on Thursday. Bye.